Hello, hello, hey sweet people. Welcome to another episode of Inglês no Rádio. My name is Foster, and as always, I am here with
Alexia. Hi guys. Happy January. Happy 2021.
Happy 2021, sweet people. Today on the show, we are continuing our this process of examining, analyzing, simply talking about our experiences in 2020. You could call this a year in review. And yesterday, or in the last episode, we ended in February.
Yes, when we discovered the first case of coronavirus here in Porto.
Que é isso?
Coronavirus.
Are you having difficulty pronouncing?
No, I was making fun of corona.
Okay, can we try to say it in English? Coronavirus.
Coronavirus.
Okay.
Coronavirus.
So the first sound is ka.
Ron.
No, ron.
Ron.
Okay. This is just like the own thing.
Okay, can we stay with COVID?
Okay. Sure. I think it would be beneficial for our listeners.
We can just say like coronga, and I'm glad with that.
Okay, so we had just heard about the first case of COVID-19, SARS-CoV-2, arriving here in Portugal, and we were thinking, this is going to be serious. This perhaps is going to change a lot of things.
Yes, it was only a matter of when, right? We were talking about that, a matter of when it would get here in Portugal, and it got here in February. And
got here when?
February.
In February.
Yes. And then nothing. We just waited to see what the Prime Minister and the President would say about it. We were waiting on them.
Yeah, honestly, at this point, at least from my memory, it was a big deal, but no one was talking about COVID like it was going to be a worldwide issue that was going to completely change our year and our lives.
Yeah, I was thinking that it would have cases here, but not that much. But maybe it was because I was so naive about it, you know?
Yeah, I think we all were.
Yeah.
So, in March 2020, coronavirus was here, not a super big deal at the time. And then on March 9th, I believe, yes, my grandfather died.
Yes. It wasn't related with COVID.
No.
Yeah, just to make it clear.
No, he was 95 years old, but it was someone that I was very, very close to.
Yes.
Probably, I think it was the closest person in my life that's ever died.
Yeah. Because your grandfathers on your dad's side, they already passed, but you were very young to understand that.
My grandparents on my dad's side. Yes.
Grandparents.
So my dad's dad died when I was quite young, and then my dad's mom died when I was a freshman in college. But for most of my life, she was already suffering a lot with dementia. So it was very sad, but I did not have the same closeness in the relationship that I had with my grandfather on my mom's side.
You still have.
Yeah.
I like to think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he passed on March. I don't know if it was March 9th or 10th, or you had to go on the 10th or 11th. I don't remember. exactly, but it was like 3 days, the 9th, the 10th, and the 11th, that it was very confusing for you, your family, and me here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very confusing, to say the least. So essentially what happened, my mom called me and was crying and said that my grandfather died and that I need to get home.
Yeah.
To attend the funeral and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and in the United States, we already talked about this on an older episode, but they wait for the family to have the funeral, to have the oh my goodness, you guys have the funeral and the get together with the family.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah, I think we just say the funeral and then there's like a visitation after the funeral.
Yeah, they wait for the family to be there. So Foster went to the United States and he got there exactly 1 day before the United States closes the air flow.
Okay. So I arrived in the U.S. on March 11th, and on March 12th, the U.S. closed air travel.
Air travel.
They closed the borders with Europe. And on the same day, so I remember I arrived in the U.S. and, we were thinking about my grandfather. We were not thinking about COVID.
No, not at all.
And the next day, I remember I was watching TV with my dad, and I don't remember what we were watching, but when I came downstairs, my mom was watching the current president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, giving an address to the nation talking about closing borders. And at the same time, I looked at my phone. The NBA, the National Basketball Association, just canceled the year for the entire year, and Tom Hanks and his wife also had coronavirus.
In Australia.
And so in just one moment, it was like, holy shit, this is going to change everything. And I had no idea, like, what does this travel ban mean? Does that mean I can return to Portugal? Does that mean that Alexia can come here? And of course, as we know, it meant no, we can't go anywhere.
Yeah. So Portugal was still open, but the United States closed. But I mean, Foster had just lost his grandfather. Of course, he had to stay with his family. So we didn't think about that much during March. We just waited, because I remember when you left Portugal, you were like, oh no, probably I'll be back like in 3 weeks, more or less. So I'm going to leave all my clothes here and everything.
Yeah.
You left everything here.
I remember I returned to the U.S. just with one backpack.
Yeah.
And when I arrived in the U.S. in immigration, I was like kind of confused about which way was the right way to go. So I asked the security guard, like, are connecting flights that way? And he was like, yes, they are. But why are you traveling? Like, why are you arriving in the United States with just one backpack? Like, I'm going to search you, is what he was saying. And I was like, I returned for a funeral. And he was like, I'm very sorry for your loss.
Oh.
And I was like, that's right, asshole.
Yeah. So March started the lockdown here.
Yeah.
March, April, more or less. So it was when the numbers of cases here in the north of Portugal started to get so intense, and it wouldn't stop growing, that they decided to have a full lockdown, like quarentena total, geral, and everything.
Yeah. And at this point in the US, maybe there were a few cases, but I remember, like, I specifically remember my dad complaining, like, the whole world is going crazy about, a common cold because it was, something happened in China and now it was kind of happening in Italy. But why does that affect the whole world? And why do we have to change our way of life? It still did not resonate in the US at this point.
Speaking about Italy, do you remember that Felipe got back to Brazil like 2 days before the full lockdown in Italy as well? If he had stayed there, I don't know, a week or something like that, he would be in a full lockdown in Italy without anyone.
Yeah, Felipe made it out just in time.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. But yeah, when I returned, I had the intention of staying in the U.S. maybe for a week, 10 days, 2 weeks, just to go to my grandfather's funeral, stay with my parents for a little bit, and then return to Portugal.
And 7 months passed.
Yeah. So let's see. I arrived in the U.S. on March 11th.
Yeah.
And I did not get back to Portugal until September 26th.
7th. Yeah, I think.
Yeah. So almost 7 months, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think in the next episode, we can talk about how was that experience of us being apart for 7 months. Spoiler alert. It wasn't fun.
Well, we have a puppy now.
We have a puppy, which is a part of the story, and we will continue that story tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay.
So, I'll
as
see you
always,
tomorrow.
keep up the good fight.
And live well. Bye.